Okay, so let's talk a little bit about importing photos into Lightroom. So I'm going to go over and click on the import button. And if you do have a memory card that's in your computer, you'll see it under devices over here on the left. So right here, you'll see that. And if it says eject after import, well, that's going to be a little box that once you do your import, it would eject your memory card so you could remove it from the computer and be fine. So let's look at what all we have going on here. On the left, this is kind of where you're pulling it from. The middle is what do you want to do with the stuff? And the right is where is it going? And how do you want it to come in? So kind of think of it that way. So over here on the left, we've got from, and if I click on here, there's different places. So let's say the photos were already downloaded to the desktop. You could pick desktop, but I'm gonna stick with my device right here. Now there's all these different places where it could come from because I have so many hard drives on my computer, but we'll leave it like this. Now in the middle, these are thumbnails of everything that's on that memory card. Now here's an interesting thing. You'll see there's two dark gray ones. It means, actually three dark gray ones. It means that it detects these images, but over on the right you'll see it says don't import suspected duplicates. So these images have been imported once before and they're still on the memory card. And that's because we make copies of the images when they're going to the hard drive for the most part. You're not going to get them off the memory card unless you physically delete the memory card as well. So that's a different argument there. So there are two major schools of thought on this. So one would be that instead of you do copies of G, you do move. And if you move files to the hard drive, you can do that in some instances depending on what kind of file it is. That is not typically the way people like to do things because it's good to have maybe a copy and you leave them on your hard drive until you verify they've been moved over or until you've got them backed up as well. So I'm not a big fan of doing that, and add only works if they're already in location. So our normal thing is either copy as DNG or copy. Copying as DNG will change them from whatever RAW format they currently are to a universal Adobe RAW format. So I have Nikon.nef and they'll become .dng, a universal RAW format. There's a lot of benefits to the DNG file. It makes the file smaller. It is again universal. It treats Nikon, Canon, Pentax, everybody the same in the end. So it's a little bit easier to work with multiple people who have different formats, different files from different cameras. So there are some good advantages. Some people don't like it, but in general, I think it's a good way to go. And the way I teach is to copy as DNG. So that's left up here. Now, right now we have all photos, and if for some reason you didn't want all photos, you could uncheck that box and they all kind of go dark. And then you could check just what you want to put in. So I'm just going to pull in these mannequin photos, and I'll use those for the purposes of this import. So I've got just those right there, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the two. So where are they going to? Well, they're going to be a portable hard drive in our class. So I typically say just start here, click on it, and if you don't see it show up, you can kind of go to other destination and find it. So on the left, I find my hard drive and the two. Well, I know that I'm putting all my photos in this library up here at the top, and so I'll hit choose there. Now that shows up down here where it shows Mcaja Demo is my hard drive, and then it shows the 205 Mtruitt Photos library. That's cool. Build previews, standard. You can do standard. You can do one-to-one. Those are your typical choices here. Embedded and sidecar are not the way we typically teach with DNG files. So I typically will do standard. Now, smart previews I'm not going to mess with right here. I like don't import suspected duplicates. I'm not going to do a second copy right now. I'll copy or back up the entire catalog and library later, but I'm not going to do it right now. Collections, we can add that little bit later. File renaming is something worth talking about. So I like to rename on import, saves me time later. And I'm going to do a custom name, custom text. So in our class, we're always going to do something with our first initial last name and then whatever it's for. So I'm going to pretend these are for exercise 1. Then I could do E1 as a part of that and a start number. You can leave that there and it's going to change your numbers. Now, if you prefer, instead of sequence, you can do original file number and it'll take whatever file number was in the camera. Sequence lets you kind of start over. Original file number comes from the camera. Your choice. So I've got that set up there. Develop settings, maybe later we'll have some of those metadata, maybe later we'll have some of those things. We'll keep it simple for now. Now, in here, it's by default trying to add these dates, and I find that annoying. So instead of organize by date, I'm going to go into one folder, and I have a choice. I can do into subfolder, something that's already been created, or I can type in something new. I'm going to go E1. And so now in the library, it's going to go E1. If you need to put more information, you could. I just kind of double check, make sure it's going to the hard drive, to the library, and then I will click import. You'll see there's a little progress bar on the top left. It's going to copy the files. It's going to convert them to DNG next. And it's also building the previews. So sometimes those will go kind of quick. Sometimes they'll go kind of slow. So I had 4 photos come in. It says 4 photos were converted to DNG. I'll click OK. And it built the previews. So previous import was 4. I had 3 photos before, so I have 7 total in the catalog. And it's showing me the hard drive, and it's showing me the folders here. So the 4 that I shot are right here. This is where they're showing up.